The Mass Effect trilogy is filled with some of the most beloved squad mates and characters in all of RPGs, but there are some characters in the franchise that rub us players the wrong way. In this video, we're going to talk about the 10 most hated characters in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Number 1. Kai Leng. The rat-tail samurai and side villain in Mass Effect 3 is one of the most hated characters in the entire franchise. And it's not just because he's against Shepard. Other villains in the series, like the Elusive Man and Saren, have interesting motives and redeeming qualities that make them more understandable to the player. But Kai Leng is just a broody loser that shows up to kill off one of our favorite squad mates before scurrying off like the rat he is. And then there's the horrible boss fight on Thessia. One of the greatest sins of video game design is making a boss fight where even when you win, your character still loses in the following cutscene. So even after shredding Kai Leng's defenses and watching him recharge his shields while a gunship barrages your squad, plot armor prevails and he snatches the Prothean VI from the temple while Shepard and crew watch helplessly. Thankfully, you can finally end the madness on Kronos Station in your final showdown with Leng, leading to one of the most satisfying renegade interrupts in the entire franchise.
That was for Thane, you son of a bitch.
Number 2. Udina. While I'm a bit of an Udina stan, and my flippant remarks about an Udina romance mod have become a bit of an inside joke in my community, seriously, Udina romance mod when? It's undeniable that Udina is one of the least liked characters in Mass Effect, who many players will gladly body on the Citadel in Mass Effect 3. No matter what you do, Udina is never happy with Shepard, always criticizing the commander and being borderline openly hostile throughout the series. Plus, he's quick to backstab Shepard anytime it seems politically feasible.
We've locked out all the Normandy's primary systems until further notice you're grounded.
Nobody stabs me in the back, Udina. Nobody.
He grounds the Normandy before Ilos in Mass Effect 1. He refuses to let the commander see the Council in Mass Effect 2, and in some cases he won't even reinstate your Spectre status. And of course, betraying everyone by assisting the Cerberus coup in Mass Effect 3. The guy is a ruthless opportunist, but he's not even good at seizing the right opportunities, since his actions always seem to backfire and eventually gets him killed in Mass Effect 3. When you speak to Udina at the beginning of ME3, he does seem genuinely distraught about the situation on Earth and the destruction of the Alliance Parliament on Arcturus Station. So I think there is a subtle note of sympathy that can be gleaned by a desperate man backed into a corner. But still, any redeeming qualities will be overlooked by most players, and his overall jagoffery throughout the series lands him squarely on the most hated list.
It's just politics, Commander.
Number 3. Jacob Taylor.
You have his face.
You are cursed with his face.
While hate might not be the appropriate word to describe the fanbase's feelings about Mr. Taylor, it's clear that our biotic Cerberus buddy is one of the most boring and least beloved squad mates in the whole trilogy. Certainly one of the most memed on. I remember seeing a video one time called Jacob Taylor's Best Moments, and it was just 10 seconds of a black screen with no audio. The guy just straight up lacks a personality. He takes himself so seriously, and yet doesn't really offer us much as a squad mate, either on the battlefield or in the story. Plus, if you romance him in Mass Effect 2, he ends up cheating on you and knocking up some other broad in the sequel. Yikes. So when Jacob volunteers to put himself into the vents at the end of the game, save yourself some grief and let him become the vent god.
Jacob!
Number 4. The Reporter. In the fake news and clickbait era of sensationalism, journalists have a bad reputation, one which extends to the Mass Effect universe apparently. In the first Mass Effect, you'll be ambushed by a reporter named Kalisa Bint Sinan Al-Jalani. Her leading questions aim to paint Commander Shepard as a council lapdog who has betrayed humanity to the interests of aliens. Once Shepard discovers that this is basically a hit piece, the commander can hit back, in a manner of speaking.
I've had enough of your snide insinuations.
son of a bitch!
This punchy dynamic persists in Mass Effect 2 and 3, and hitting the reporter is one of the central memes in the Mass Effect community. Number 5. Ethan Jeong. One of the most obnoxious figures in the first Mass Effect is the walking, talking company spokesperson of Exogeny. Everything this guy says or does is about putting the interests of Exogeny Corporation above all else, even to the extent of ordering to wipe out an entire human colony to prevent the discovery of corporate fuckery on Pharos. BioWare must have really hated this guy too, because convincing him to back off without violence is one of the hardest speech checks to pass in Mass Effect 1. You need an insanely high investment in speech skills, either 10 points in Intimidate or 12 points in Charm to convince him to stand down. To put this into perspective, this is higher than the requirements to convince Rex to destroy a genophage cure, or Saren to delete himself at the end of the game. I do really love the Renegade speech option, though. Renegade Shep is hilariously savage in the first Mass Effect.
You're a bean counter, Jeong. I'm a Spectre. Tell me, how good are those odds?
Spectre, it's a load of crap. There aren't any human Spectres. Right?
But if you can't pass the speech check, I don't think many players will be shedding any tears over the Exogeny bean counter.
If that's the way it has to be, heck, come on!
Number 6. Admiral Mikhailovich. Speaking of Jagoffs, the Alliance Admiral makes a brief but very annoying encounter with the Shepard during the first Mass Effect. Early in the game, he'll meet you in the docking bay of the Citadel, insulting your ship and pulling rank demanding to make a personal inspection of the Normandy. If you're a cuck, you can acquiesce and let him dress you down and insult you and your ship in the process. Or you can make the Giga Chad move and tell him to go f*** himself.
I'm here to make an inspection, Commander. Normandy is an Alliance warship. I intend to see she's up to snuff.
Normandy is an Alliance warship, but she's on loan to the Citadel. That means she's not in your chain of command.
I believe there's something wrong with my ears. Did you just contradict me?
This ship is Council property right now. So, respectfully, please clear the gangway.
Have it your way, Commander. But expect me to file a report on this.
Mikhailovich's appearance is incredibly brief, and he's basically relegated to a Mass Effect 3 war asset afterwards. Assuming you let the original Council die at the end of Mass Effect 1. Because if you decide to save the Council, then Mikhailovich dies during the battle to save the Destiny Ascension. Number 7. The Council. Politicians are usually unpopular as it is, so it's no surprise that Mass Effect's Council is one of the most hated groups in the series. Much like Udina, they are never satisfied with Shepard's actions and frequently dismiss the commander, only supporting him at the 11th hour of the franchise in Mass Effect 3. And even then, their support only happens when the Council homeworlds start getting knocked off by the Reapers, and when Cerberus nearly wipes them out in a failed coup attempt. Hanging up on the Council in Mass Effect 1 is one of my favorite memes in this series. It's always fun to stick it in their faces.
Is this some kind of game? Are you calling in a report just so you can cut us off again?
You know it.
Number 8. Brooks. Nobody likes a betrayer, so it's unsurprising that many players dislike the woman who stabs us in the back during the Citadel DLC. It doesn't help that she's also pretty obnoxious even while she's on our side. And it gets even worse when we learn she's basically a complete sociopath, often changing identities and personalities to infiltrate and sabotage on Cerberus's behalf. That is, until she betrayed Cerberus as well to ally with scuffed Shepard in a half-baked plot to steal the Normandy. Shepard gets the last laugh in the end because nobody betrays Shepard. Nobody.
Admit it, Commander. You'll miss me. Not at this range, I won't.
Maintenance to the shuttle bay?
Number 9. The Batarians. Just the Batarians in general. People really don't like them. Pretty much every Batarian we meet is a gigantic asshole to Shepard, so it's understandable. There really isn't one Batarian I could single out as the most hated one. Maybe Bollock, since he did try to smash an asteroid into an entire human colony and bring down the sky, and he's still pulling terrorist antics in Mass Effect 3. But you can win him over to the war effort, so maybe he's not that bad. In any case, most players don't seem to care that Shepard will wipe out almost 300,000 Batarians at the end of the Arrival DLC. Even the characters in-game don't seem to care that much about them. I remember talking to Hackett at the beginning of Mass Effect 3 about recruiting allies for the war effort, and when you ask him about the Batarians, he's basically like, yeah, they're all dead now, so they ain't gonna be any help at all.
What happened to the Batarians?
Never stood a chance, hit by the Reapers straight out of the gate. And without any allies to call on, I think the Batarians are history.
I think the bad PR for the Batarians amongst the fandom can really be chalked up as a fault of the writing. I can't really point to any sympathetic Batarian characters in the whole series that we have any significant interactions with. We never have a Batarian squad mate, or any major side characters that aren't antagonistic to Shepard. Maybe Arya's assistant guy, but we talked to him for like a few seconds in the Omega DLC.
You always get these crap details, Bray?
Not this time. You got a galaxy to save. Let's get you off this rock.
Maybe the next Mass Effect game will give us a cool Batarian squad mate to rehabilitate their image, kind of like Iron Bull did for the Kunari in Dragon Age Inquisition. But until then, they'll remain the most disliked aliens in the galaxy.
We were a proud race. A beautiful race.
Number 10, Admiral Gerrel. Speaking of unlikable aliens, the last spot on our list goes to the hawkish Quarian leader, who almost gets everyone killed in Mass Effect 3. This guy thinks about nothing else but wiping out the Geth at any cost, putting his entire race in jeopardy by championing a petty war in the middle of a Reaper invasion. For starters, he tries to blow up the deactivated Geth dreadnought while Commander Shepard and Tali are still inside, leading to another really satisfying renegade interrupt.
I understand that you wasted your chance to withdraw safely.
The dreadnought was a perfect target.
Admiral, you jeopardized your mission and your people. Get the hell off my ship.
And finally, he's the last one to stand down at the end of Priority Rannoch, assuming Shepard can even broker peace. Otherwise, it's pretty satisfying to watch his ship get obliterated by the Geth, if the moment weren't spoiled by Tali jumping off a cliff moments later. But, you know, can't win them all now, can we? So there you have it, the 10 most hated characters in Mass Effect. Were there any characters I left out that you think should be on the list? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Mass Effect and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.